Hi, I'm Debbie Barbiero. Welcome to the Art of Weight Loss Coaching Summit. And thank you, Barbara and Michelle and everybody else that's involved in all the planning that went into the summit. Thank you so much for inviting me to be one of the guest speakers today. As I mentioned, my name is Debbie Barbiero, and I'm a certified nutritional health and life coach. I'm a personal chef, and I teach cooking classes for adults and children. I'm also an author, and my books are right behind me. Today I want to tell you about my journey. First, it starts out, my daughter. She had all kinds of health problems growing up, especially when she was a teenager into her adult years. It would be so frustrating because she would have anxiety and tremors. She was losing hair. Her weight would go up mostly because she was put on prednisone constantly. Her health was just going from bad to worse. We would go to so many different doctors, and one diagnosis after another. It's endometriosis, it's IBS, it's depression, and she would go to doctors for the depression, and they would give her different medications, and they would give her medications for the IBS, and they would give her medications for the endometriosis, and she would have to have a medical procedure one after another. And some doctors we would go to were specialists, and we would have to wait months and months to get an appointment. One particular doctor we went to in Hartford, we waited for 4 months to be able to see this doctor, and there was pages and pages of paperwork to have to fill out. And because she struggled with the tremors, after she filled out a couple of pages, she asked me if I could help her fill it out, and I did, and I listed all of her medications and what she'd been through for tests, etc. We finally get in to see the doctor, and the doctor looked over her. It looked like she looked over her file for a brief second, and then she said, "Okay, I'm going to do this test on you." And so Sandra said to me, "Mom, I already had that test." I went and kind of hushed her at the moment because I'm thinking, this is the doctor. The doctor knows what to do. So sadly, after she was about ready to go through the test and I saw what the doctor was doing, I was so upset because my daughter was right. She did already go through that test. And after the test, what does the doctor tell me? "I'm going to put you on blank medication." That was the very first medication listed on the chart. I wrote it down myself, that she was already on this medication. That was the last straw. I knew there had to be something else that could be done for my daughter. I didn't know what. I just knew there had to be something else because we'd been to every kind of doctor that we could think of. And I prayed about it constantly for God to lead us in the right direction and to help her to heal. Well, my daughter, when she got married, it seemed that her symptoms had gotten even worse, and eventually she was diagnosed with lupus. So now we knew it was an autoimmune disease. And usually when you have an autoimmune disease, it's something that's hereditary. And as far as I knew, nobody in our family had ever had lupus or any autoimmune diseases. So it was a mystery as to how she had been diagnosed with this. But she was such an upbeat person and had a great personality, and all of a sudden she would just become terribly sick just at a moment's notice, and sometimes be throwing up and get into these awful sweats, and all kinds of things happen to her. She even had her own business as a hairdresser, and she's a wonderful hairdresser. As a matter of fact, she does my hair. And so we were trying to figure out what to do, and I would try to do some research, and I always wanted to go back to school, but I couldn't do it when my kids were young because I had to be at home with them and take care of their needs, and financially I just couldn't afford to go to school. So after my daughter got married and my son was already enrolled in college and doing well, I had given a lot of thought to myself going back to school. One night we were out to dinner, all of us as a family, and we were in a restaurant. And I can even visualize it right now. I know exactly what restaurant we were at. And we were sitting at the table, and we were about halfway done the dinner, and it was just gnawing at me. I had to get the courage to say what was on my mind. And I announced to my family that I wanted to go to school. I wanted to learn. I wanted to be able to figure out something that I could do to help out Sandra's health problems, and to further my education, to learn more, and to make a better career for myself. I'd already been a para-educator in the Shelton school system, and I worked with special ed students, and I worked with a couple of kids, one that was very special to me with muscular dystrophy, and I loved what I was doing. But I wanted to learn more. I wanted to I just knew there was something better for myself out there. So I put it out on the table that night, and I said, I really and truly want to go to school. And everybody was kind of quiet and seemed like they were ignoring me. But my son eventually spoke up, and he said, Mom, you should do it. That's all I needed, was one person to say, yes, you should do it. So right away that night when I got home, as a matter of fact, I went into the computer and started Google searching different schools that were available. And at that time, I was working for Weight Watchers. I worked for Weight Watchers for 15 years, as a matter of fact. So I was working there at the time, and I knew that I needed to continue to work to help to pay for my schooling. So I was looking for some classes that I could take and that the hours would be convenient for me also. And Sacred Heart University was not too far from home, and it was right off the highway for when I would come out of school and go straight to work. So it was working out great for me. I loved the classes. I took psychology, and it was, every day I looked forward to going there. What I didn't look forward to was the tests, but I loved the classes and loved the learning. Well, it was time to pick some new courses for the next semester, and what I was looking for was courses in nutrition. There was nothing that was available during that next semester or the one after that. I was so frustrated because I really wanted to go to school. I wanted to continue, and the courses were very, very expensive, and I didn't want to wait another 3 semesters before I was able to take classes in nutrition. So I went to the Google search again, and I was looking on the computer for the next several days because I had a few days before I could make my final decision as to what class I was going to be enrolling in next. So I kept searching, and I found several schools that sounded somewhat interesting. And then all of a sudden one day, I think I probably typed into the search engine health and wellness, nutrition. I put all those different words in there, and eventually what popped up was the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which I had never heard of yet at the time. So I clicked on it and read everything that it had to say, and it sounded, wow, yeah, that sounds like something I'd be interested in. So I called right away the next day, and there was a very nice person that was on the phone that was very helpful, and I asked all kinds of questions. And they answered every one of my questions. And then one of the questions I asked was, I'm 50 years old. Am I too old for this? And she said, Debbie, you are the perfect age for this. Somebody your age needs a health coach, and any age needs a health coach. So I thought, okay, that gave me some more confidence, and I signed up for it right then and there. And the module started very soon after my first class, and I was so excited. I enjoyed every single module. It was so much information that I was learning. Everything was so new to me, and I was a student now, and I had homework, and there was other students that I was studying with that were all over the world, different countries. And when they first started out, it was 33 countries all over the world. Now there's hundreds that of hundreds of people, hundreds and thousands of people that are studying to be health coaches and have already become health coaches. And it was just such an exciting experience for me. And the first few modules I was learning were vegan and vegetarian. And I was not vegan or vegetarian, and I thought, oh shoot, am I supposed to switch to that? Is that the way I'm supposed to be? And then all of a sudden comes another module, and his name is Howard Lyman, and he's talking about the importance of eating half a cow. I was like, wow. So that was like, whew, that opened my mind. And long story short on that is I studied over 100 different diet theories, and no one diet is right for every person. You know, what's right for my husband or my friend or my neighbor might not be the right diet for me or for you. So in studying all these different diet theories, I was really open to finding different ways of doing different things. Another thing that was happening while I was a student, I totally believe in synchronicity. Not that it was just a coincidence by any means. It was meant to happen. I was meant to be a student there because of all the wonderful things that have happened in my life since then. So while I was a student, unfortunately, my health was really taking a toll on me, probably because of the stress of the classes that was new to me. I was not only, I was working full time and I was taking the courses and I was not getting the support that I needed at home. So it was really challenging. I was losing my hair, lots of hair. My husband would complain all the time about hair being on the floor and being on the sofa and the furniture. It's like, I'm not losing it on purpose. I'm not pulling it out. I had heart palpitations. I had pain in my face that went to the back of my head. I had itching in the inner thigh. I was having brain fog. I was like so totally drained and exhausted. I loved my job as a Weight Watchers leader, and I was leading 17 meetings a week at various locations. And the meetings were always very upbeat, and I loved my members and they loved me. I had lots of people that would come. And as I was learning different things from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition about nutrition, I would share some of this learning with my members. And they were eager to learn too. It was so exciting. And it was another way that I was able to help them further to be able to lose weight, because some of the members would come in and, raise their hand. Oh, I lost 5 pounds. I lost 3 pounds. I'm down 25 pounds. I'm down 50 pounds. Before I actually started working for Weight Watchers, I was a Weight Watchers member myself. And it took me a long time to get to my goal weight. And I was always frustrated because, oh my gosh, how come everybody's there already? And I'm not. And I always felt like I was doing the right thing. Well, when I studied nutrition, then I understood that it's not cookie cutter. It's not just about how many points you're eating. It's not just about how many calories you're eating. For example, 50 calories of broccoli is not the same as eating 50 calories of chocolate, and how that's going to affect your body. And I learned all this, and I would share this with my members, and I loved it. And the one thing that I didn't love about working there was when the territory manager would come in and she would critique the meetings, critique the leader. I always got good reviews on that I was a great leader and that I had great participation, but there was always that but. They always have to look for something to tell you needed improvement on. And what the problem was, I wasn't selling enough Weight Watchers products. I sold lots of pedometers. As a matter of fact, I was the pedometer queen because I believed in pedometers. Pedometers are something that help to motivate you to walk more, to move more. I would buy every single pedometer that Weight Watchers sold. Every time they would come out with a new one, I would have a new one, and I would do a challenge with my members. I would sometimes do beach challenges. So I would do some research and found out all the beaches that were in Connecticut, from, say, for example, my Stratford location to something place in Madison, Connecticut. So people would log in every week how many steps they would take, and I would put their name on the chart, and they would get some kind of a sticker or a reward or something like that when they made it to a certain goal of the beach. They didn't physically go to the beach, but we were pretending we did. And the first person that made it there, I had prizes at the end that were related to the beach. It was a lot of fun. I would even, when we had a meeting that was talking about exercise and getting your bodies to move, I would blow up these balloons, and during the meeting we would just push them all around for about 5 minutes and just get 5 minutes of exercise in the meeting, and we would laugh hysterically. It was awesome. But the problem was, what they would critique me about is I wasn't selling enough of their product, of the 2 points bars, of the smoothies. And the reason I wasn't doing that was I figured, if they want it, okay, that's something they're going to buy. I'm not going to tell them not to buy it. But I couldn't, in good conscience, encourage them to buy that, because I knew in the ingredients, there's a whole list of ingredients in there. It's not whole food. And I had learned this more through the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. So eventually it became a point where it just wasn't a good fit for me and for them. And I left Weight Watchers. As a matter of fact, I didn't leave Weight Watchers until I had already graduated from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. So a lot of my members already knew that I was involved in nutrition, and a couple of my first couple of clients were people that were Weight Watchers members. They had gotten in touch with me. And still today, this is 8 years ago that I started my own business, and I still have people that they follow me on Facebook or on Instagram, and they've reached out to me. As a matter of fact, just about 2 weeks ago, somebody that was one of my Saturday morning members, she said, "Hey Debbie, do you remember me? I've been following you on Facebook, and my aunt just got out of the hospital," and she told me her story and asked me if I could help her. And now her aunt is following a much healthier eating plan, and she's trying to heal her body. I absolutely love what I do. And by becoming a health coach, it has opened so many doors for me. One of the things is I had the privilege of being a health coach to Miss America Puerto Rico. And you ask, how did you get that? Well, one of my clients, who was originally one of my Weight Watchers members, she was one of my groupies. If I was doing meetings in Stratford, she'd go to my Stratford location. If I was doing meetings in Fairfield, she would go to my Fairfield location. And she would, at the end of the meeting, she would ask questions in the meeting, and then she would stay after the end of the meeting, and she would ask me other questions about what was, questions to help her. And she liked that I gave her the attention and that I helped her. And so after I graduated and received my certification, she was one of my first clients, and she still is today. And I helped her to lose a lot of weight. I helped her with her stomach because, as it turns out, she has problems with gluten and lactose. So those are some things that I have done research on even after I graduated the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. So those are some things that I have a lot of knowledge about, and I've been able to help her and help many people with that. Another one of my clients that I was able to get through health coaching, I go back to the Miss America Puerto Rico. This woman happened to have been the director of the judges for Miss America Puerto Rico, and she knew that I was pretty knowledgeable in nutrition, so she asked me if I would be a judge for the Miss America Puerto Rico pageant. And I was like, I thought she was kidding at first, and she said, "We'll fly you to Puerto Rico, and we'll pay for your hotel, and we'll pay for your food, and you'll be a judge. And as a matter of fact, would it be okay with you to have the winner of the pageant be one of your clients for a year?" So as part of the package deal, you know how they get the scholarship, all the different awards, I was health coach to Miss America Puerto Rico. 3 years in a row, and Miss Outstanding Teen Puerto Rico 3 years in a row. And I still am in touch with a couple of them still to this day. So what an awesome experience that was. Another one of my clients, he ended up helping to design my website. I met him through a meetup group. It was at a restaurant a couple of towns away from me, and it was for entrepreneurs. So I decided to sign up and go to this meetup group, and we just paid $5 a week, and it was people that had different businesses, and it was a good way to do, your 1 minute speech about what you do, your explaining what kind of business you do and how do you help people in some way. So we would all have to talk about that each week, and each week there was somebody that got a chance to talk a lot more about what they were doing. So he and I got to talking more and more and more, and eventually, because he was a computer guru and I knew nothing about computers, he and I bartered. He designed my website, which I absolutely love my logo, and I, in turn, helped his dad. His dad at the time was on hemodialysis, and he had a whole list of foods that he could not eat. So my job was to figure out, okay, what can you eat? So I did a lot of research and did a lot of talking to doctors as well, and came up with a plan for him. And I was able to help him to enjoy his food, because it's a bummer when you say, oh, I can't have this, I can't have that, I can't have this, I can't have that. But okay, embrace what you can have. That's much more important, because that's what's going to heal your body. So I would make him foods weekly. And I worked with him for about 4-5 months, and I would take foods to him each week, and we would do a health coaching session, and his son started up my website for me. So that was pretty cool. A lot of my clients find me through Google searches now, through my website, find me through my Facebook pages. I also work with a lot of clients that have thyroid disease. When I was a student at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, I was trying to figure out, what should my niche market be? They were always talking about your niche market. And it's like, oh, I don't know. I want to be able to help everybody. But you can be much more successful when you kind of narrow it down a little bit. So I remember Joshua Rosenthal saying, choose something that you know a lot about, something that you're good at. And I thought, well, I know I'm good at cooking, so that's why I incorporate a lot of cooking into what I do. But also, thyroid. I was diagnosed when I was a student at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease. And a lot of symptoms I was having at that time. So I went to the doctor and had all kinds of tests. Hopefully I'm not repeating myself. I went to the doctor and had a lot of tests, and I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease. And at that time I had no idea what in the world is Hashimoto's disease. I said, Hashi what? And the person that called me to give me my diagnosis was not even the doctor. It was a person working in the office. And when I asked her, what is Hashimoto's disease? And she said, I don't know, ma'am. And then I said, well, I'd like to speak to the doctor then. And she said, well, the doctor's not available right now. I'll have her call you back. And she did say to me, though, do you have an endocrinologist? At the time, I didn't have an endocrinologist. So when I got off the phone with her, first thing I did was I went into the student portal and I typed in, I was just diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease. Does anybody know what it is and what I can do about it? And very quickly, I had all kinds of responses. Some were actually doctors, because part of being a health coach it's beautiful because there's doctors, there's registered nurses, there's people in all varieties of the health field that want to be a health coach. So I got a lot of answers, and it was really helpful. So at least now I knew, okay, what is Hashimoto's disease? It's affecting my thyroid. So after going to the doctor and for my follow-up visit, and she wanted to put me on all kinds of medication. First, it was the thyroid medication, and I didn't want to take any medication, and she put the fear in me of all these horrible things that were going to happen to me if I didn't take the medication. So, okay, I agreed on that one, but she also wanted to put me on cholesterol medication. And I said, I'm studying to be a health coach right now. I'm not going to take that cholesterol medication. Give me 3 months and let me see if I could get it down myself. I'm going to just start eating healthier. So she reluctantly agreed to let me have the 3 months. So after 3 months, I went back, and I went from 295 down to 259 with my cholesterol. And she said, that's good, but it's still too high. I want you to go on this cholesterol medication. And I said, no, I still don't want to do it. I said, give me 3 more months. And she said to me, no, you really need to go on this medication. And so I took the prescription in my hand, but I never filled the prescription for the cholesterol medication. I had made my appointment for the endocrinologist, and by the time I was able to see her, which was probably 3 months later, my cholesterol was already down to 220. And she was so proud of the progress that I had made, and I told her that I'm a health coach. By this time, I had already received my certification and owned my own business, Deb's Healthy Plate, which I went to the City Hall in my town and got my DBA, doing business as, and started my business in the month of June. And literally 2 weeks after my certification is when I started taking on clients. And so my endocrinologist was really on board with what I had to say. She wasn't pushing me to the cholesterol medication. I was, of course, on the thyroid medication. And I had gone to see her every 6 months, and I would have the follow-up tests and the blood work, etc. And I was getting better and better and better. And she was really impressed by how much better I was getting. And I told her I wanted to go off the medication. And she said, she says, you still have Hashimoto's disease. Even though you're doing better, you really should take the medication. But she was supportive. And eventually I did get off the medication. And this has been now, I've been off the medication for 6 years. 6 years I have not been taking the medication. I still go for my follow-up checkup. As a matter of fact, I was going every 6 months, and now I only go once a year because my numbers are doing great. As you can see, I have a full head of hair. I don't have the pain in my face like I used to have anymore. I don't have the heart palpitations. My cholesterol is doing great. I don't have the itching inside of my feet. I have lots of energy. I feel better now than I felt a good 20 years ago. So that's why I work with clients that are trying to manage their thyroid, because I've been able to heal mine. As a matter of fact, my endocrinologist, who works with people with thyroid management and diabetes, has referred clients to me. And a couple of them have signed on. Some have not, sadly, because of insurance. As a health coach, gosh, I really wish we were able to take the insurance, and I'm hoping that the government eventually passes that law, because I understand for some people you just can't afford that. For some people it's a luxury to have a health coach. But why not have a health coach? Because For one thing, I've healed my own self. My daughter is healed. She has 3 beautiful children now. She's not on any more medication. As a matter of fact, one thing I didn't mention before with her health, with the lupus and all the medication she was on and the weight gain she had, she also had to have a device installed in her body by Medtronics, and it was to help her to urinate. She couldn't do that on her own. And now she's thriving. She doesn't have to use that at all. She eats healthy. She's living a wonderfully thriving life and has 3 healthy, beautiful babies. Her first child is named Riley Grace. And the grace is by the grace of God. We have a gift. So, doctors only know what they know. We only know what we know. You only know what you know. It's so important to learn more. Take the opportunity to research, to ask questions, to find out more. So, also with my health coaching, with some of my clients, I make meals for them, and with some of them, we have the one-on-one session. Each session is 1 hour dedicated just to you for whatever your health concerns are. I might have an idea of what I want to talk about today, but maybe you just got here and you had a really crummy day at work, and I could see the stress all over your face. So I get you in, give you a hug if you're open to hugs, pour you a glass of water, and we go into my office, and first we just do some breathing, let it go, just relax. I have some nice comforting music playing at that time, and we talk. You talk about your day, and we talk about some strategies and whatever it is that you feel like, because this is your session. This is time dedicated to you. I can give you the paperwork later, set the goals for later, for when you're not sitting with me face to face. I love health coaching. I get an opportunity to help somebody feel good about themselves, feel better about themselves, forgive themselves if necessary, to feel free to express themselves. It's the best job a person could possibly have. Another thing that I do is I'm a personal chef. I sometimes do the fun, like it's your anniversary or it's your birthday 4-course meal, and I will make it and prepare it at your house, serve it to you. You can put out your candles or put out your paper plates, however it is that you want to eat your meal, and we talk together to decide what you would like that menu to be. And I always add the healthy. Adding the healthy means adding all fresh ingredients. For example, whole grains, organic food, fruits and vegetables. Nothing that has chemicals, nothing that comes from a package. All of my recipes are my homemade recipes that have come from my book, or things that maybe haven't gotten into my book yet, but that I have created these recipes and I make them healthier. Sometimes I might have a client, as a matter of fact, I had a guy that asked me to make a dinner for him and his wife, and they were celebrating her birthday, and she needed a gluten-free meal. And he was thrilled that I was able to make a completely gluten-free meal. They put up their pretty dishes, and they put up a candle, and I made them a full-course meal, including dessert, and cleared the dishes when I was done. And they wrote me a beautiful 5-star review. I went to another home, and they were looking for lamb, and they wanted risotto and my specialty recipe, chocolate raspberry decadence. And that came out wonderful. They were so happy with it, and their son was there sharing the meal too, and they asked for wine pairings. So I went to the package store and I told them exactly what I was making, and they recommended the appropriate wine. So I served the beautiful wine to go with the meal as well, and they gave me a wonderful 5-star review. There's a woman that is a psychiatrist, and I had made several meals for her and her husband, and we would talk at length about my health coaching. And we would talk either on the phone or when I was at her house. And she would ask me more and more questions about health coaching and what I do. And eventually she asked me, she said she had 2 people that were battling anorexia and wondered if I could help them. And I thought, gosh, I don't know if I can, but I'd love to have the opportunity to try if they're willing. So one lived about 25 minutes away, and I went to her house. She was right around my age, and I worked with her for quite a while. And I even made some meals together with her, 3 different meals that she was happy to be able to do something different for her husband. And then I have another client that she's been with me over 2 years, and she's 23 years old, and she has made such tremendous progress. When we first started out, she only ate about 5 or 6 different food items. And we would do the health coaching sessions, and I got an idea one day that I wanted to see if maybe she'd be interested and open to preparing some foods together. And when I presented the thought to her, it seemed totally overwhelming at first. She totally seemed to shut down for a while. And hurried into the restroom, as a matter of fact, and was there for a little while. And I was thinking, oh gosh, did I make a big mistake? Well, when she came out, I said to her, don't worry, we don't have to do this. I just was thinking of an idea. And she said, I'll try it. And I was like, wow, that's great. So I don't even remember what the meal was that we made that day, but I remember she had just this itsy bitsy little taste. And then I gave her a bowl to take home and told her to please finish it at home if she'd like. And she did. And every other week we were preparing some foods together, and we would try some different things. And now this has been going on over 2 years, and she eats a lot of food. She's vegan and she's gluten-free. So she is limited to some degree, but there's so many wonderful foods that are vegan and that are gluten-free. So it's been great for me because I've taught myself a lot of different recipes, and I love them too. And I really enjoy eating vegan. I'm not vegan. I do occasionally eat some meat too, but I definitely feel good when I eat vegan food myself. And so she's tried so many different things, and there's been some times in the last few months that she's actually texted me before her session that was going to be a day or 2 away, and she said, hey Debbie, I found a recipe for blah blah. Is it okay if we try it? And she brings a couple of the ingredients with her, and we make the recipe together. And it's like the progress she has made is just beautiful. I'm so very proud of her because she has a lot of challenges, and she's little by little, we're peeling through that onion skin and making progress and making things better. And she writes in a journal, and in the journal she writes down something that was good every single day. And that's so important for you to do, for all of us to do. You know, it's so easy to say, oh, it's raining, it's snowing, it's cold out, this stinks, that stinks, this hurts, that hurts. Okay, stop, rewind. Psst. I always say, and I say this to this particular client too, PSS. Positive self-talk. Stop and ask yourself, okay, what's good? What's going great right now? Okay, I like the way my hair came out today. Or, wow, that salad I just had was really good. Or, oh, that nice meal I made was really nice. Oh, it was so nice to talk to so-and-so. I haven't seen them for a long time. Or I just watched an inspirational video. I really enjoyed that. Whatever it is, take the time to stop and think, what is good? What's going well in your life? And focus on the good stuff. Write it down. And maybe every once in a while look back to see, oh yeah, I forgot when that happened. That was really good at that time. I also teach cooking classes for children and adults. The children's classes are every Saturday at 1 o'clock till 2:30 right here at my Shelton home office. And it's for ages 6 and up. And we make all kinds of things. We make the healthy and the not so healthy, but we always add the healthy to it. We might make homemade pizza dough and make a homemade sauce and put the toppings on it, make some meatloaf, make some baked coconut chicken tenders with baked sweet potato fries. I also do mommy and me cooking classes. As a matter of fact, one of my clients that comes to me is a mommy and me that come every 2 weeks. And the mom had reached out to me because her daughter battles Hashimoto's disease, and she's only 10 years old. So her mom wanted to learn how to make some foods that would be thyroid healing foods that would be helpful to her daughter, because it stinks to be told, oh, don't eat gluten or don't have this or don't have that. Okay, what can you have that's wonderful? And we've made so many great things together. As a matter of fact, the next session we're going to have on Tuesday, she's going to be making a nice pan-seared salmon with all kinds of fresh herbs, and we're going to make a cauliflower rice pilaf. And that's going to taste absolutely delicious. I also teach Daddy and Me classes. I teach classes here on inflammation or on, I have a 3-day detox plan. And I give you all of the recipes that are in there. It's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for all 3 days. There's a shopping list and everything. Everything is included with step-by-step, and I explain to you what all the health benefits are of all the ingredients that are in there. And that's only $25 to come to the class. Okay, I'm going to end with a recipe that I want to share with you. This is something that I make for sale. It's only $6.50 for a box of them. And I've made them on TV. I was on Good Morning Connecticut. I was on CT Style, which is Channel 8 in New Haven. And these I call oatmeal fun balls or apricot date nut balls. And I'm going to give you the recipe. And I also want to tell you about my books. This one here is A is for avocado, P is for pizza. And this one here is Deb's Healthy Plate Cookbook, Reclaim Your Health, Body, Mind, and Spirit. And my daughter actually wrote her testimonial in the front of the book. The day that my book was going to be printed, she said, hey, I just wrote up a testimonial. Do you want to use it? And after I read it and shed a couple of tears, I was honored to share it, because she talks about how she healed, how her body, how she was going through living hell and thought that she had no hope and didn't look forward to anything in life, and now how she is thriving and how great she feels. So here's the recipe, which I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to put a link, or you can actually find me on Deb's Healthy Plate and Metamorphosis Body, Mind, Spirit on both my Facebook pages, and my website is debshealthyplate.com. Here's the recipe. I'm going to show it to you here, but I'm also going to show the link there. It's very easy to make. You can either use a food processor, or you can just cut everything up and mix it into a bowl and roll it into the balls. I use 1 cup of rolled oats, half a cup of either almond butter or cashew butter, or you could use peanut butter if it's the kind that's not the hydrogenated, that the only ingredient in there is peanuts. Just like with almond butter, the only ingredient should be the almonds. The next ingredient that I put in there is either chocolate chips or chocolate nibs. And the ones that I made today are a combination of chocolate chips and chocolate nibs. You use a half a cup. So I did a 1/4 cup of chocolate nibs and a 1/4 cup of chocolate chips. I also have in there 6 dates, pitted dates, and 6 dried apricots. And I cut them up into little pieces and put them in there. And then there's a 1/3 of a cup of raw honey. And you can either put in flaxseed or hemp seed. And the ones that I made today, I have hemp seed in there. That's a full protein, so it's got all kinds of health benefits. So these balls are actually energy balls. They're protein balls, and they're only 60 calories each, and they're absolutely delicious. And you can put them in the refrigerator, you can put them in the freezer, and it's a great snack for to go. Have them for breakfast, have them for a snack, anytime that you feel like having them. They're something that you don't have to feel guilty about having, and they're gluten-free and they're vegan. So I think they're a win-win situation. Okay, well, I'm going to say thank you for taking the time to listen to my video. Thank you again, The Art of Weight Loss Coaching, for inviting me to be a speaker for today. And I wish all of you well. I wish you all success. I wish you all joy in whatever you choose to do in life. I'd be thrilled if you reach out to me if you'd like me to be your health coach or personal chef, or come for cooking classes, or buy my books. But most of all, I wish you joy. Find joy in whatever it is that you do. Reach for your passion. Always strive to learn something new. You're worth it. You are beautiful. You are amazing. And it's my pleasure to have the honor to speak to you today. To your vibrant health and happiness, Debbie Barbiero.